With
the glasses help with
We're
that.
rolling?
Yeah, we're rolling.
All right.
Hi. Welcome
We're rolling.
to Big Ten Frenemies. This is episode, I don't fucking know. 12.5?
No, actually,
13.5.
15?
No, it's 15.
15?
Yeah.
Whoa.
What happened to the 0.5?
Yeah. It's hard
Why
to keep
didn't
up
we
with
get
that.
a cake made?
It's just 15 now. We've kind of rolled it in.
Where's the cake?
About a baker's dozen.
Where is
All right,
the cake?
for
I
the
love
25th
cake.
episode, we need to get a cake. Or a cookie
Okay.
cake. I love cookie cake.
All right. I like the ice cream cake.
Any
or
of
the
our
cookie
like
cake.
74 fans, remember that. You can send me a cookie cake.
Rhonda K, we're calling you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Please, Rhonda.
Weird mix-up that happened in college football. There were some odd games. Penn State, Illinois, that didn't take off until later in the second half. I'm not really sure what happened there.
Didn't
Michigan.
take off, or like as in not a lot of action, or
No,
didn't
they
start.
were back and forth. I mean, they were pretty spot on. I mean, Illinois was leading at a certain point.
Right. Yes, they were.
Take off. I mean, the final score for Penn State was 63.
Yeah. No, that was incredible.
Yeah, Penn State outscored 35-0 in the fourth quarter.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, that's
didn't
ridiculous.
they did that to who else?
Pitt.
Not after Pitt.
Yeah.
It was close, and then they absolutely throttled them.
Yeah, so-
I thought you meant taking off, starting, because you
They're
see,
close 'cause
as
they're
a
weird?
Michigan State fan and a Detroit Lions observer, I have now had no game start earlier than 4:30 p.m. I've had 3 night games for Michigan State, a Monday night game, a Sunday night game, and then 4:30 against San Francisco.
Isn't our game going to be a night game?
Oh yeah, we're gonna have lots and lots of night games. This, against Michigan could be a night game. It's a lot of night games.
We have a
No,
whole show.
it's never a night game with Michigan.
It might
It never
be.
has been, but it can be now because
Right.
this is a good segue for me to at least touch on that.
Oh, no.
In college football now, the TV networks
Oh, yeah,
dictate
yeah.
the schedule completely,
Which is
and they
bullshit.
don't have to let you know until 12 days before kickoff. It's really
Yeah,
hard to plan
geez.
your freaking
Bullshit.
life. I mean, and I go to the games. A lot of times we don't know. It's hard to plan other things.
Yeah.
It could be anywhere from a noon to a 8 o'clock kickoff.
That's ridiculous.
On the flip side, you have nothing else in your life, so there's that.
His face literally just got so sad right there. I have never seen him
It's
so
not-
sad. But
it's not
honestly,
true.
it makes us happy. So.
Yeah, that's not true for you 25 listeners and viewers. That's not true. I'm very excited.
Au
by it.
contraire, mon frère.
So, I mean,
And
while
you.
we're on it, let's just go over the recaps of what happened. I'll kick it off because it's going to be sweet and to the point. Dwayne Hoskins only played the first 2 quarters. As you can understand, it was against Tulane. We absolutely annihilated them. Then second half, Tate Martell came in and did not score another touchdown until end of the fourth quarter. That had me a little worried about Tate, to be honest with you. But Hoskins, Jesus Christ, 5 touchdowns, over 300
Yeah,
yards.
he continues
and
to
21
impress.
of 24 in the first 2 quarters. That's which got him shot up to number 2 in the Heisman rankings, which I totally agree with. Right behind Tua, who is, I think, the only quarterback amongst those guys that doesn't have an interception yet. Which, hey, more power to you.
That's that kid, that whole team.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
I know. It's. Did you see that Saban was asking the media to start writing about
Negative things.
Yeah, negative things about them and stuff. Positive things. I totally agree though, because ESPN has such a hard-on for ESPN. Yes, they
Stop. For Alabama.
Oh,
You said ESPN has a hard-on for ESPN.
they do. I mean, they technically do.
They probably do, but I didn't know. So you didn't mean
Yes,
Alabama?
Yes, I did mean Alabama.
Okay. All right.
ESPN has a hard-on
All
for
right.
Alabama,
Yes.
vice versa.
And the
ESPN
SEC.
does have a hard-on for ESPN. But thank you
Lot
for
of,
the
lot,
correction.
of, lot of hard on talk.
Yeah, you know a lot about that with your Wayne Kelman. Anyways,
I do remember
I
that.
do remember. We're never going to let you live that down.
We're
Yeah,
kind
I
of
would like
immature.
them to write a little bit of smut about those guys. Maybe not let them get so high and mighty on themselves.
Well,
What can we do?
but then again, it's not, it's the media's job to report what they see. They shouldn't be slurping. It shouldn't be a slurp fest, but boy, they've not done a lot to. I've watched like a half of a football game for Alabama, but they're just not doing much to really criticize.
No,
so
I mean they
sorry,
they
Saban.
played Texas A&M but I don't consider that, necessarily the best competition.
Yeah, at home, Texas
especially
on
when
the
it's at
road.
home.
If it was
So
at
when they go on the road and they play at LSU, when they play Georgia, these are the games I'm looking forward to seeing how good Alabama is, because they haven't truly been tested yet, and I'm looking forward to that. Ohio State, you could say TCU is a test, but that was a neutral site. This weekend will be our true test.
Right. And like we talk about every week, in college football too, it's hard to determine this early in the season who's really that good and who's not,
Right.
based off who you play. And like, even though that TCU win was great and a tough test, now TCU loses to Texas, and then you're like, okay, TCU's a good team,
Right.
but how good, right? So you just don't know. I agree, Penn State will be a really, really good test, especially at, in state college. I mean, that's a tough
But
environment.
we'll touch base more on that later.
Yeah.
Give us a recap of what happened at the Michigan game.
Oh my gosh. So, being a lifelong college football fan, it was very, very weird to see Nebraska. I mean, I know Nebraska hasn't been the Nebraska of old for the last few years, but it looked like you took a subpar MAC team and threw Nebraska uniforms on them. You know what I mean? It was just
Yeah,
weird.
it was
Michigan
ugly.
came out and punched them in the mouth, and they just rolled over. I mean, that's really what happened. So it was the best game, most complete Michigan game I've seen in years, honestly. I mean, in years.
My one concern about that game was Shea Patterson did good, but not as good as I thought he would for how shitty of a team Nebraska was. I figured he'd put up bigger numbers than that.
well, I think it's just because they were able to run the ball so effectively. I mean, I didn't watch the game, but I think that's
like, I figured, and this is just me, like, if I'm the coach, I'm going to put Shea Patterson out there, and I'm going to have him start winging it.
Yeah.
Because when you face a team that you can't get that running game going, you need to rely on him for that deep ball. And he really didn't do a lot of that, which I was surprised that they didn't let him, like, you know what, go out there and do your thing. We know he's got the power. Why not just let him throw?
A lot of fans brought that point up. I see both sides, but they, I think he's shown enough. He's completed 70% of his passes. He has shown the ability to throw the long ball. But Michigan really didn't. They ran at will. They passed at will. I mean, it was again, and I'm not pounding my chest, say, oh, Michigan's back the best team in the country. I mean, the Nebraska team was horrible. It felt great.
surprisingly
That was
horrible.
actually one of the worst Nebraska teams I've seen.
I mean,
We've beaten them 63-0.
I was at the Western game and the SMU game. I'm confident to say both those teams were better than Nebraska. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
But I mean, they seemed that, at least on that day we played Nebraska.
Yeah.
There was no fight in them. So there was really, I mean, it's just a total annihilation. Michigan will have a bigger test coming up, but we got to wait a couple more weeks. But right now, I feel like they're building some depth. The receivers are getting work. Dylan McCaffrey looked great. I don't know if you saw that when he came in.
I watched
it. Got called back on a hold call.
He went 8 for 9, if I recall, right?
No, he was only 3 out of 8, but he had a couple of drops.
3 out of 8.
Yeah, but he had the bomb. He had the long.
He was. Oh,
yeah,
that's pretty shitty.
But he had.
Sorry, Dylan, but that is.
Yeah, he had 2 drops. He had the long pass. He had the 45-yard touchdown pass or whatever. But
so he's similar to Tate Martell.
no, but the coolest thing was the very first play that McCaffrey came out.
Yeah.
They ran a spread offense, and he ran the ball 75 yards for a touchdown, and he outran the Nebraska secondary. He was flying, and it got called back for a holding. Yeah, it was his first play.
Well, that's your team's own fault.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm just saying he showed speed. I mean, dude. Okay, it was 20-0 after the first quarter. It was 39-0 at halftime. That game could have been 80-0 if Michigan wanted it to be. There's no question.
I'm going to tell you the same thing I heard every Lions fan screaming at the Pats game on Sunday.
Yeah.
They were, every time there was a holding call, you just, cheaters! You guys are cheaters! It's like, listen, you're freaking winning the game. Just
I don't agree with that. Yeah. Anyway, that's my take. There was nothing I'm going to pull from that game that I'm going to state, vehemently that this is.
I mean, Higdon, wow, 136 yards on 12 carries, 11.3 average, 1 touchdown. His long was 46. That's a great day for him.
Yeah.
So And you guys used a lot of runners.
I love Ben Mason, Michigan's fullback. He's an old school football player with the ball. He loves contact.
He
plays linebacker too.
He was just rounding through that line.
Yeah, he's a load.
Yeah.
But the $1 million question for Michigan will remain offensive line.
How does it perform against a real
They
team?
looked amazing against Nebraska. We don't know. If Wisconsin comes in a couple weeks and it's like hitting a brick wall, then we'll know that they really haven't gained that much.
Right.
Very true.
That is the $1 million question. We've known it since day one.
I think when you play teams like this, especially a Big Ten team, and you do that, whether it's correct or not, I think it gives the players confidence.
Sure.
And I think that can help them.
Sure.
As long as they don't get overconfident.
Right.
Like, oh, we got this now, Anyway, that's my feedback.
I think I'd agree with that analysis.
With that, let's move on to Phil to tell us a little bit about Michigan State.
Michigan State went into Indiana and beat a 3-0 Hoosiers team. They had performed well. It was still a struggle running the ball. Ended up with 131 yards, I think, rushing, but that included Jalen Naylor rushing taking a jet sweep for 75 yards for a touchdown.
Huge play in that game.
It was huge. They had pulled within 7. So Lewerke, I think, had 4 picks. 2 picks, and then 2 turnovers.
2 interceptions.
2 interceptions, yeah.
Did he have 2 fumbles too? Is that what?
It wasn't 2 fumbles. I can't remember. But at the end of the day, the offense, didn't put the defense in the best positions. With the defense still held serve, took care of business. We're now the number 1 rushing defense in the country by far. I mean, in 3 games we've given up 98 yards rushing total.
Who did you play in those 3 games?
It was Indiana, ASU, and Utah State. But if you look at what they did, Indiana had over 200-yard rushing in like 3 straight games.
I'm not going to knock it, but I think you guys need a better test.
Yeah. No, there's not a question, but it's kind of, I mean, when you have somebody who has put up big numbers, is capable, and you're absolutely suffocating them.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear that.
This weekend you guys are going to be playing Central Michigan, and they are going to run that ball up your behind.
Right. No, I fully expect that to be a thrashing, but it's another case of with our offense that it's an offensive line thing, real simple, and we've had, unfortunately, the shitty thing with the Indiana game is we didn't come out unscathed injury-wise. We had Matt Allen playing a lot of center, which is what we wanted. Tyler Higbee rotated in and out, but Allen was at center. There was some solidified play there, but unfortunately, Cole Chewins was in and out.
Can I get a basket of fries? Sure.
Cole Chewins was in and
Keep
out.
your analysis going, Phil.
I'll do that. Thank
Can
you.
I get a snack size?
Cole Chewins was in and out, starting
boneless
left tackle.
with the
So
Chipotle?
there was still scrambling along the line. Dave Beadle got nicked up. Was a starting guard. Kevin Jarvis, starting guard, got nicked up. So we've literally got the only healthy player on the offensive line right now is our rookie as a starter, Matt Allen at center. So there's a lot of stuff they have to figure out. People are complaining left and right about Dave Warner and his play calling, and I think there's something to that, but it's really hard when you don't have a strong offensive line, or strike that.
He can vouch for that.
Right, when you have a sieve for an offensive line, how do you play call? I hear people saying, let's take shots downfield. You know what you need?
You can't take a shot downfield.
You know what you need?
That's
You
how
need
you get
time.
your quarterback killed.
Right. I mean, it sucks.
Like, hey,
But-
if you don't like Lewerke, then by all means,
go
throw the ball.
downfield. 7-step drop, and he'll be slaughtered before he gets to the 7th step. That's just a shitty
gonna
thing.
stand back here.
Right. And now you can do some things to scheme around it, but it's really, really tough to come up with a game plan that is going to be, is going to be effective when you have that as a handicap. Other than that, Felton Davis was incredible. Dude had, I don't know if you guys saw, but he had an incredible one-handed catch that he caught, turning. It was thrown in front of him kind of on the other side of the defender, and he just scooped it with one hand the entire way, kept control all the way down. He is a very underrated receiver. I don't think a lot of people know about him, but outstanding receiver. LJ Scott nicked up. He didn't play much. So got some injuries we need to get healthy again, and again, solidify that line. Hopefully, with Central coming in, we'll drop the bomb on them, and Jordan and I can talk
Fire
again
up
next
chips.
week. I'm not even looking at him. I'm not even looking at you.
Hey, I'm gonna be rooting for Jordan's team.
All right,
Next
that's
year.
I am too.
That's weird.
Yeah,
I am
That's
too.
weird.
that's right.
Yeah.
We're rooting
But
for you, Jordan.
we already,
Fire up,
since,
Chip.
Since we pretty much just talked about what you're going into already, we're going to skip that and move right along to our what games we have coming up. So why don't you kick us off with your upcoming game this weekend?
Michigan's traveling to Evanston, Illinois to play Northwestern. I am going to be traveling there. Looking forward to that. Actually taking Marie
But
to
you
her
know the time.
first ever road game. Yeah, it's 4:30
Wait,
Eastern.
you're taking Marie?
Yes.
Whoa, Marie.
Yes.
Whoa, this
She's
is big.
subbing in for Jordan this time. So, yeah, it's big. So we're gonna go. It's 3:30 Central Time, and
I hope you sit next to Bill Murray and he boos
looking
you.
forward to it. Thank you. Bill
welcome.
Murray, is he related to Northwestern? Bill Murray?
Yeah.
Is he? I didn't know that.
So is
I know
what's her
Louise
name? Julie
Dreyfus
Louise
or whatever. I
Dreyfus,
knew
yeah.
she was.
But her
yeah.
son played basketball. I doubt she would be at the event.
With this game, before the season, I was very nervous about this one. I'm not really anymore because Northwestern hasn't looked good. They had their running back just retired. Did you
Yeah,
see that?
that
I felt bad about that. Good.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, no, I did.
You cheered. You stood up in the office and cheered when the news came out.
No, I did not. That's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, it's
No, the
always
poor kid.
something
No, the kid has a serious problem. I would seriously. I would
Yeah,
never.
seriously.
I mean, even if it was Bosa, I wouldn't wish that on him. I don't want. I never want a kid to be injured.
Close into this. He's
See, some people are going to think
he's
Phil's
not
fucking
he's not
serious
back
on
until
that.
November.
He didn't cheer.
No, I never want a kid to get hurt. I never want that. So anyway, I felt bad about that. I am confident about the Northwestern game. However, I've seen enough Big Ten games to know you never really know what can happen on any given
Yeah, I don't,
Saturday.
that's a.
But
Especially at Northwestern, they always play you guys tough, or tend to play you guys tough.
Yeah.
That's the thing though. It's like they've had 2 shitty losses,
yeah,
but they are still the same. It's a 10-3 team from last year. You
And-
know, granted, you lost your running back, but it's
and-
just the type of one that, as a state fan, I know I'd be like, this is where it's going to bite my ass.
One thing I know, and they will. Those Northwestern kids will be looking at this like their Super Bowl, like their chance to make a statement and redeem. You know, what I mean, they're gonna bring
absolutely.
it. And
Absolutely.
so there's, you always worry as a favorite that, is your team going to overlook them in any way?
Oh, absolutely.
I hope not. But I think if what I've seen of this year's team is true, I think Michigan should win that game, by a couple touchdowns.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your score prediction?
I'm going to go Michigan 31, Northwestern 13.
Okay. All right.
What if they lose?
What if Michigan loses? Well, it'll suck. What else do you want to know?
Now, when you said now, I want to go back in time a little bit.
They're horrible.
Your first game
I
of the
vote
year.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your first game of the year, Notre Dame, and you had said if you lost that game, you were going to walk to the top of the stadium and jump off.
Did I?
Yes.
Did I say?
This obviously
Did
did
I
not
say
happen.
if we lose to Notre Dame, I'm going to do that, or did I
you
say
said- yep, you
Michigan
said
State
no.
or Ohio State? I
No,
would do? That sounds more like
you
what I
definitely
would-
said Notre Dame. We
Okay,
can
I
go to the
didn't.
tape.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I changed my mind. I have too much to live for.
Right. So you're not going to do that if Northwestern beats you, right?
No, but Marie, to her credit, because she
Is gonna
knows
keep a leash on you?
she's kind of chatty sometimes, and she told me she's.
You know we're filming right now, right?
Yes, she
Okay.
knows she's
Hi,
chatty.
Chatty Marie.
And she's
I don't
not.
think
She
you're
doesn't
chatty.
know.
I think you're a lovely lady, and
She doesn't know a lot.
On the table for
She
drinks.
doesn't know a lot about football, so she said that she's bringing duct tape, which
Wait, for you or for her?
I don't know.
Or for later on?
I don't know. But I think
Ooh.
she meant if she said if we lose. So I think she meant. So shut up.
Yeah, okay, I see that.
Yeah.
She's
Okay.
smart like that. She's smart.
Yeah. No, I would be very, very disheartened. That would be a terrible,
absolutely.
terrible loss for Michigan. Terrible loss.
That's true.
Inexcusable right now. I will admit that.
Well,
They should pound them into
I won't go
oblivion.
as far as to say if we lose this weekend that I will do any harm unto myself. But we are heading into our toughest test for the year so far.
Yes.
On the road, Penn State, night game, where they do the whiteout. It's not fun. We've seen that we can lose there before in these circumstances, but we're also dealing with a different team. Trace McSorley, one of the best QBs in college football right now. They've got a fantastic running back. Holy shit!
Sanders.
Did you guys see
Sanders? Yeah.
Did you guys see his game?
Yeah.
Over 200 yards.
Yeah.
He's good.
Oh my god! But at the same time, their offensive line isn't amazing. Their defense is very young and unsure of itself.
Yes, their defense
They
has
have
holes
not
all
had
over
a
it.
single test all year. And with how they played against Illinois, to bring that back, when you have Illinois, like, yes, you're on the road, but Illinois is not a stadium that you go and you're like, I'm afraid. This is like, no one gets afraid.
Is that
in
Fred
Illinois.
Bingham?
No, but it looks like it could be.
Profile.
He turned. Yeah, sorry. If he turns, but now he's not going to turn.
It's just an Asian guy.
He does look like Fred.
Anyways, so it's going to be a true test. Obviously, we're without Bosa. Bad news this week is that he is currently in Philadelphia with family. That's not the bad news. But after surgery, it is going to take a lot of time, and they're looking at soonest back November, mid-November. So
Right for the Michigan game.
yeah, if we're lucky, it would be in time.
He's just got his feet up waiting for the Michigan
Yeah,
game.
but we have Chase Young, who is a phenomenal. I've said before, he's a phenomenal defensive end. Cooper has stepped in a great way, and I don't think Ohio State has missed a step with Bosa gone. And that's not to say that Bosa was making the team or not. He was just a leader. Now somebody else needs to step up and be a leader.
Right.
So I'm excited to see this. It's going to be the first real defensive test for Penn State. It's going to be tough for us because we're in their environment.
Absolutely. It becomes a different team in that scenario.
It is. And do I think we're going to win? Yes. Obviously, I'm going to go with my team. Is there a part of me that's skeptical? 100%. But do I actually see us pretty much, wow, what is that? Putting up the same score as in the TCU game. I think that's how it's going to go.
Yep, that's me.
And the fries are for me. Thank you.
Excuse us.
Who are you saying excuse me? They always
us.
watch us eat.
Yes,
They like watching us eat.
I know. I tend to apologize for people.
Anyways, we already talked about yours, so we're going to move on to the next.
Yeah.
I have your
Real
score.
quick. My score?
Yeah, I know the Ohio State Penn State score.
What is it?
Ohio State's going to win 42-28. But
So that's pretty much what I said.
So what?
yep.
Why
But
you
you
so
said
sure?
about like the
40,
TCU score.
40, that would be 40 to 28. You're saying two more
42
points.
to 28.
So
Yep.
you're saying 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
Okay. That's pretty much what I'm
Why do
saying.
you say that?
Why do I think that's going to be the score? I think
That number just sounds
I've watched
right.
Ohio State 2.5 games. I've watched Penn State 2 games. I think Penn State will not stop Ohio State's offense really at all. And I think Penn State will move the ball a lot on Ohio State, but just not. They're going to put up 4 touchdowns, but I think Ohio State's going to put up a couple more. Yeah, I mean, I just think it's going to be a shootout kind of game, but Ohio State has more bullets.
Fair enough.
But again, in that environment on the road, if I was an Ohio State fan, I'd be nervous about it.
Yeah, there's going to be a few turtle heads.
Alrighty. All right.
Should we talk about food?
No, what we're going to talk about is the fact that all 3 of us picked Coach of the Year early on as Scott Frost.
What?
I would like to
We
rebuttal.
really shit the bed on that one.
Scott, way to let us down, Dick.
I mean, epically. I'm blown away how
Oh my God.
poor they are.
If Harbaugh started that way, they would have hung him, Michigan fans.
Yeah.
No, they won't.
Yeah, they would.
I mean,
Scott Frost does not have 12 NFL players who will sniff an NFL field at all.
he said this is the bottom, so it's only up from here. I hope he's right for his sake.
Well, the biggest thing I think is the whole buy-in. I think there was I can't remember the offensive lineman's name, but he basically came out and said, listen, if there are those on the team who are not buying in or do not want to buy in, have a seat, step aside. There are other people on the team who will buy in, and that's what you need. You need that from your leaders and your players. It's not the coaching. You need the guys on the team to actually express that and then enforce it, because you can have lack of talent, lack of speed. You can overcome all sorts of different things, But if you are not into it, you ain't playing football, bro. Come
They
on.
are
now,
not
have a
into
seat.
it. They are not into it.
It's not. I mean, you cannot. It's not a game where you get punched in the mouth and you cower. You have to absolutely come back raging, and that's where you at. That's something that you cannot forsake as a football team. And I don't think that. I think it's something where you take over a team and what you got to figure out what you have to overcome. I mean, listen, we all know Nebraska's not been, setting the world on fire as a program. So, he had to come in and do something, but apparently there's going to be a little more work than they thought.
Do you think that most Nebraska fans and the people in the athletic department, do you think they regret joining the Big Ten?
No.
No?
No?
Because I do think down the line they'll get back to the team they once were, and they'll be competitive. And what better place to be competitive than the Big Ten?
Right.
I like to think that the Big Ten is the toughest conference, but everybody else will tell you it's the SEC followed by the Big Ten followed by ACC. And that's still fine to be the second toughest conference because you look at everyone you have to play, and you also look at the side they're on.
Yeah.
Their competition is Iowa and Wisconsin, which
Right.
was actually a pretty good game this weekend. Did you guys catch that?
Yes.
Yeah. So they get up to that. They're competing with that. They're helping rebuild that part of the Big Ten.
They had so much success when they were in the Big 12. You know what I mean? It's just I just wonder if they ever kind of regret that because it seems to have coincided with their move into the Big Ten.
Well, to an extent, but I don't think. But they've also been to Big Ten championship game. They've shown flashes of something, but as dominant as they were in the 90s.
No, but they wouldn't be in the
early
Big 12 either
2000s.
because college football now, right?
Now it's changed. That's the thing is that you can't look back as a Nebraska fan and go, I appreciate as a football fan, I appreciate the Big 12 and what it was. That ain't the Big 12 anymore. The Big 12 is run and gun, play a little defense, and put up a bunch of numbers, but it's not the same. You got A&M playing in the Southeast Conference.
Different.
It's not. It's a different. It's a different world.
Different
so
world.
that is what it is. The Big 12 is not the same.
Yes. Now, one thing I wanted to touch on is, does anybody else think that the polls are biased right now? Like, yes, it's early in the season, but I'm just saying that there are teams I think that should be ranked in the top 4 that are not. I think LSU should be top 4, and they are not.
Agreed.
I think they've had one of the toughest schedules, and will continue to have one of the toughest schedules.
But that's the problem with polls. I don't necessarily think it's a conscious bias. I think it's more.
Alabama got 61st place vote.
Well, they've absolutely crushed it, and they're
And then Clemson got 1.
returning national
Why would
champions.
Clemson even get 1 vote? Is
Well,
what I want to know.
Where is it from? That's one question. But I think that but what you're referring to, and I agree with, is the process of the voters either just going with what last week was, not not studying up enough necessarily, not being familiar enough with what teams have done to change what is the status quo, unless there's a loss or a big win or something like that. You look at LSU, there's no reason they shouldn't. I mean, they've got one of the most impressive bodies of work of any team out there. So based on that, they should be up there. But when you're starting from where they started, what was it, 21?
Yeah, that's the problem, I think.
That's the thing, is that voters are reluctant to go,
Can't move them up that much.
We didn't know. I mean, we knew we're not going to acknowledge that much of our ignorance or.
And the polls
More
are mostly
voting.
just for fun anyway, but let's face it, the playoff committee, they look at that stuff. And then
Yeah.
what do they always talk about? Hey, how many wins do you have against ranked teams and all that? So
Right.
there is
It
some
can
can
have
affect at least perception. And, I've heard the argument a lot of times, I think they might want to look at is not starting the poll until 4 or 5 games in the
That would
season or
be-
something.
that would
Because
be wonderful.
you're right, what they do is
think that would
they
be
look
cool.
at last season. All people do, they look at last season, then they go, how many guys do they have back? And then they kind of go off that, start the season that way. And then you're stuck in, it's,
Yep.
Give us 4 games to show what we got, and then let's go from there.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to do that. But who's going to sell the preseason magazines with the rankings and all the hype and all that. I mean, and we enjoy that too as college football fans, but it gets to be frustrating when, I'd almost rather see a fan vote or something like that, some sort of interaction there that doesn't necessarily play a part as to who. Yeah, not that really.
USA Today or somebody used to have a fan vote. It was kind of interesting. It usually wasn't that far off from the other polls, you know?
Probably not. And there's a lot of popularity contests in that too. But ultimately, show us what we got before we're voting on it. It just doesn't. I think it would be more effective that way.
Okay, let's jump right into our guaranteed wins, upsets, and must-watch games in the top 25. Which, I'll be honest, I was going through these. I'm having a hard time finding an upset game in the top 25. Mostly these guys are playing at home and they're playing shitbag teams. And the ones that are having a challenge, it's ranked against ranked, like Ohio State and Penn State. So, I don't know. The one I did choose as my upset, and obviously going on a limb, because I don't think any of us have gotten an upset right this year.
Look at them.
Sure, buddy.
I would love to see BYU upset Washington at home. I would love to see that.
That could happen.
But I would also love to see Pitt, who is usually an upset team. They'll upset somebody. They're playing UCF at home.
They've been good this year. But they're favored. Kentucky, by the way, is playing good this year.
I know who mine is.
Who is it?
Vatek is beating Duke.
Oh,
Mark it down.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
They suffered a pretty embarrassing loss. They still have.
Just lose their quarterback?
Did they lose Josh Jackson?
I'll tell you another.
I thought they lost their QB.
Sorry.
Notre Dame's favored by.
I missed that one.
Was that number 7 and number 8?
I didn't see them missing.
Yeah,
Josh
Notre
Jackson.
Dame's favored by 4.5 over Stanford. I could see Stanford winning that game.
Well, that is at home for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Indefinitely. I take it back. I didn't know that. I did not see that.
That's the only reason I didn't pick that game.
Yeah, that would clearly be important.
But I will agree with you. A must-watch game is definitely
Stanford Notre Dame.
The Stanford Notre Dame, besides the Ohio State Penn State, which I will obviously.
I'm going to go my upset. I'm not going to take Stanford on that though. I'm going to take Florida over Mississippi State.
I thought about that one.
Yeah.
Because I think Mississippi State is overrated.
Yeah, so do I. And Florida's better than what I thought. I'm going to take Florida. And then who's your upset?
Not anymore. It was Vatek.
Oh, that's right.
No. But I will say Pitt. I can see Pitt taking out
UCF.
UCF.
Something we can all agree on. Michigan at Northwestern is the
That's going to be the lock. Is that the lock of the week?
No.
Pittsburgh UCF is my upset special.
I like that one. If I'm going to go with a guaranteed win, I'm not going to say Central Michigan, Michigan State, although I could. No offense, Riles.
He's so pissed off now.
You motherfucker! I'm going to say Alabama, Louisiana. You're playing 1 and 2.
I don't need to look.
You're at home.
That'll be my lock too. I don't mean to jump on the bandwagon, but
if Louisiana somehow comes in and beats Alabama, I'm going to be taking a few days off of work just to celebrate Nick Saban's tears. I really don't like that guy. I'm sorry, Saban. You're one of the greatest coaches. I just don't like you.
I think Saban does watch the podcast. So Nick, you can't please everybody all the time.
Elsu over UMass in the swamp.
But if you pick,
I can't see anybody. I can't see that happening. If LSU's gonna, I think they're gonna lose the game this year, but it's not gonna be in the swamp. That's for sure.
Beautiful. Now
against Mississippi.
For our closer.
The swamp is Florida, though. It's Death Valley.
Death Valley, sorry.
Our closing.
Get your home stadiums right.
You had a miracle idea of sorts that you think could work in the NFL and college football for tied games over time?
So it wasn't really a miracle. I just...
An epiphany?
No, I just think it's an interesting thought.
Did you say Eureka?
Were you trying to hang a lamp and you fell and hit your head?
It's easy to
Were
snicker.
you hanging yourself with a belt while touching yourself?
It's easy to snicker at this idea, and I understand it. It was just an idea that I had,
I love
okay?
Snickers right now.
All great things
I
were born
prefer
from crazy ideas at one point.
All great things?
A lot of great things. So,
all
thing that
things good or bad in this world are done to pay a mortgage.
This is more NFL related, but I think college could adopt this after 2 or 3 overtimes so that, after 4, 5, 6 overtimes, the players are at risk or injuries. It gets kind of crazy. You don't see many of those though.
Yeah.
But for NFL, I don't know about you guys. I think ties are the dumbest thing. It's like
Kissing your sister or
yeah,
something.
yes.
Hi, I'm
That's
a
what they say.
Browns fan.
I just came up with that.
Yeah, so you play the entire game, you play a whole quarter of overtime or 10 minutes, whatever it is. Both teams have an ample opportunity to win the game. The fans paid their money, the players battled their ass off, everybody walks away feeling shitty, we tied.
Yeah, no one wins.
I used to hate this in the NHL. I'm not a big hockey guy, but when they went to the shootout after the
love
overtime, didn't like it, but then I thought, oh, it's fun. Now I love it. It's very entertaining. And you know what? This isn't exactly hockey at that point, but you know what? You had your chance. NFL, go to a kickoff where the kickers compete against each other. You've already played 10 minutes of
So
overtime.
where do you start? How
You have to
does it
decide
go?
that, but you start like a 45-yarder, then a 50-yarder, 55-yarder, whatever you want to do.
I feel like you would have to start at a 35 and move your way back
It could be that.
because if you both hit 45 and then you both hit 50, there's not a lot of room to go, and then you're basically watching guys try to hit a 55.
But Gary asked me, is the
It's not
defense
easy.
out there? And I said, yeah, but maybe no defense, just a free kick. I don't know.
Oh no, you gotta have defense.
Defense out there, they can block it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? What do you think? Is it too crazy?
It's horrible, this idea. Okay, I thought, you started bringing up the shootout, and I thought you were going to say, hey, everybody go 4 wide, start from the
That's fine, too.
30,
Hail Mary, huh?
and just start slinging it around.
That's fine too.
And I was like, okay, well, I'm
That
not
would
sure
be
that I
good.
agree with that. It would be fun as shit. A field goal kicking contest, that is like eating oatmeal after sex. I mean, come on, man. That is.
You don't eat oatmeal after sex?
Brown sugar, cinnamon?
Oatmeal, or do you just eat brown sugar and cinnamon?
Oh yeah, any chance I get.
Yeah, I'd be able to believe it.
Okay. I told you it was a crazy idea, but see, at least
Why
it
do
gets
you-
the
why
ball
do you like
rolling.
him out of the house?
It gets the ball rolling. You don't like
Yeah.
the kicks, but now you say, okay, let's do a Hail Mary contest, whatever. I kind of like the kicks. I know players will hate it because like, oh, we're not going to let the kicker decide the game. But you know
Well,
what?
he
They
decides
do-
the game anyways
They do
at times.
anyway.
Plenty-
And
especially
wouldn't
in
that be
overtime.
entertaining for the fans in a way?
Not
Like,
for field goal kicking.
No?
Not for having a kicking contest. If we're slinging it, quarterback drops back, then
the
I
only
think
thing I
we
don't
can
like
do it.
about that though, it's entertaining, but if the degree of difficulty is so hard that it's going to take a lot of slinging, then you are opening the players up for injuries. The game could go on forever. I'm saying everybody had their chance to win this game. We could do a coin flip if you want to do it that way. You need to figure out a way to settle it. I like my kickoff idea.
So why, if we're going down the slinging thing and we're going to throw out crazy ideas, why don't you put your center against one defensive lineman,
I like that.
one wide receiver, one cornerback, and you got the QB, and that's it. And so like QB gets the ball, you got these two fighting, you got the wide receiver and quarterback going at it. The wide receiver beats him out, and you can get that toss down there, and
I'd go with that.
your lineman can hold that one guy off. That seems closer to a shootout to me.
But you can't have the quarterback advance the ball because
Right,
then the
he-
quarterback,
no,
yeah.
He has to stay in the pocket, and he has to pass.
Okay. I like that too. So we need to submit some of these ideas to the National Football League.
Let's sit down later and actually discuss this.
Hammer
And
some
let's
things
get
out.
Let's get our people in touch with the NCAA's.
And hey, listen,
Yeah.
if you guys have better ideas, which
Let
you
us
probably
know.
do,
Yeah. Even you, Saban, we'll listen.
Also, we're going to have a
Specialist.
question coming out. Who was the fan that submitted this question?
Oh, I don't remember who it was.
All right,
One
well,
of
we'll
my,
tell you on the
my
next
that's
one,
Hode.
but be
That's
prepared.
Hode. Doesn't even
Yeah.
remember
Be
yours.
prepared for this question and
One of
please answer
18
it on
people
Twitter.
who
And
watch
our show.
We're going to discuss
He
it on the
doesn't
next
remember.
episode.
it had some vulgarity to it.
It's
Spoiler
Mary
alert.
for Kill, Harbaugh, Meyer, D'Antonio. Let us know who and what you would do to them.
Can, can it be
thank
the
you.
same for all three? That's something.
No.
we can-
No.
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 No,
That sort of
because-
takes the whole.
because